Hello, my name is Adam Kahn, and this is my half-ass channel. The usual disclaimer: I'm not a financial planner, not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer. Please use any of the information I use as entertainment purposes only. So let's talk a little about the CPI and unemployment and things like that, and where maybe the economy is going, because there's so many interesting facets of things that I'm picking up. It's amazing. As mentioned in the last video, with the way CPI came in, which it's hard to imagine it won't continue to come in that way, I almost think negligent for the Fed to keep continuing, which they're likely going to raise another quarter next meeting and the one after, and probably from there. What the markets are telling us is with the 2% target rate, theoretically, they should almost already be lowering, which is why the bonds are showing an actual pivot from the Fed as opposed to simply maybe slowing or things of that nature. I don't know that I'm on the same page as the market, but I do find it fascinating, especially when you mix in the things about the dollar and everything else like we talked about. The more things I look into, it's just so hard to imagine that the strong dollar is going to hold the world economy. And when I'm looking at Thailand and Vietnam and all of these places that have overbuilt their real estate projects, and similar to the US, have gotten caught up to where previously there was demand, they couldn't keep up, to now there's supply and plenty of projects and not enough demand, that it's interesting to think the US might have to pivot to catch the world economy, not just our economy. As the money dries up, as the dollar becomes less valuable and people can't afford to live where they were, maybe we need to strengthen the dollar back and make sure they can afford to live where they are, and prop up those real estate prices and everything else to make sure these economies don't fall at the knees. It's a really interesting time. I like the equities. I'd be careful again. I still like the currencies, but when I look at things like the Australian dollar has already moved from like 61 or 62 cents to 70. While I think 70 is now on the low end, it becomes the low to fair value range. But it's also predicting the Fed pivot mixed into the currencies, because if they have to pivot, then the dollar keeps going. But it's moved so far, it's hard to imagine these can't have pullbacks that'll be pretty dramatic. I still think the dollar is going to weaken, but like the Aussie that I already mentioned, why wouldn't it pull back to maybe 64 cents before continuing? Or the yen, which we started to pick up around 68 cents, is already at 79. I can easily see a scenario where it trades back down to 74, 73 before continuing back up into the 80s, 90s, and maybe even back to par. As the long-term trends 5, 8, 10 years out continue. So to those of you new to investing, I still go with the just stick to small investments. If you bought Facebook at $300, buy little enough that now that it's $130, you want to buy more and you see it on sale, or whatever you get into. If you're looking for a hit a home run type of investment, look for those, but know that it might go to zero. All sorts of different options out there. We can talk about different structures depending on how much money somebody has to invest. The larger portfolio, the more things become available, not in terms of availability like options for you, but more like available in terms of having a better spread of things to choose from. If you have some real estate, you have some dividend paying stocks, you have some things that are taking some risk with a small percentage, and some things that are just basic plain companies that should outperform the markets. I hope you're all having a good weekend. I hope you understand what happened with CPI and unemployment the past couple weeks. I think it should make for a great 2023. I really do think the trend for the year should be higher, not lower, just because of the negativity. I think short term, the bullishness might have gotten ahead of itself a bit. in all the markets. You know, the bulls are beginning to just get a little too excited. I tend to think they're correct, but I think they might see a little pullback first. So have a great weekend. To my 1 or 2 viewers, if any of you want to like or subscribe, that'd be cool too. Start, seeing if we continue and how things go. Have a great weekend.